Okay, so before we're done, I would be remiss if I didn't get into this. So you jumped into to the public consciousness in a big way in 2016. I think the actual episode of Access Hollywood aired in 2005. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but during the Trump presidential campaign. Can you take me back to when that tape started making news? And for people that don't know what I'm talking about, do you want to explain like what you were doing there and what actually happened?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity in 2005 to be part of a basically a promotion for Apprentice to Access Hollywood and Days of Our Lives. And I was asked to, maybe I was chosen, to be to host Donald Trump and Billy Bush when they as a tour, basically of Days of Our Lives, and then Trump was on the show, and I got to work with him as far as his part of his apprentice position at. I guess I'm trying to I'm trying to even remember the actual storyline. I can never remember half the time what he was actually doing there, but
But it
so
was a cameo, right? He played
total
himself.
cameo for him. Yeah. Now I'll tell you, it was a great experience. That not, and I said it back then, and I'll say it now. I had a great experience. He was lovely, and I had no idea anything behind the scenes was happening. So that never affected me. I
And
did my
was he a
job.
good actor? Did you have to
I mean,
explain to him how to read the line?
oh, I didn't explain anything to him. I just let him do it. And I just did my thing because my character at the time's a gold digger and it was great. So it was a lot of fun to just play and listen. And, and he was great. I had a great time. And so I felt privileged that I was like, oh, this is a good opportunity for me.
Mhm.
Right. We all want a great opportunity to be able to, step up in our career and do a good job at it. And I just wanted to do a great job hosting both of them and just that's all I felt it was, and it turned out to be great. I got a chance to meet Melania at the NBC party we had, and to me, lovely experience. So next step to the October 2016, I get a call from my manager at the time who goes, "Did you do something with Trump?" I'm like, "What? What?" Did you, and I'm trying to remember I'm trying to even think about what she was talking about. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, in 2005, blah, 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 did this cameo. So she says to me, well, I'm going to send you a transcript. I want you to read it. And the Washington Post wants to know if you have an opinion. So I'm like, okay. So I don't even read it for a while. I don't even think of anything of it. And then I read it. And I just was with Sean, my fiance, and I thought, what is this? Like, what is it? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm reading here,
Right.
And listen, to me, when we talked earlier about there's a thick skin you grow, again, it doesn't make it okay
Mhm.
half the time, but you grow a thick skin. Everybody has spoken poorly about somebody in their lifetime. I don't care who you are.
Mhm.
Everybody has. It's just people get caught on camera doing it. That's, unfortunately that happens all the time, right? And if you've ever gone to a fraternity party, the things happen. So I'm reading it going, this sounds like something my fraternity guys I know would say, right? But I just didn't see it in the way that people were seeing it.
Mhm.
So I didn't make a comment though, because guess why? And was in fear of losing my job.
Mhm.
So I didn't say anything. And that whole eventually I had to say something.
So you kind of went along with it or and thought it was sort of
I didn't
funny
go
or
along with
whatever?
it. I didn't go along with it. What Sean and I did was we're like, well, let's, Sean's so wonderful. He's such a wonderful human. He's a wonderful man and he's a wonderful supporter of me and of just people in general. And it's crazy positive person. Anyway, so he said, let's just wait and see what happens when this come out. It's either not going to be a big deal or it's going to be a big deal. Well, we all
And
know how.
wait, and were you personally offended or were you kind of like, okay,
I wasn't personally offended. It didn't have anything to do with me. I mean,
right.
so he made a comment, I guess, about my legs, and so did Billy Bush. But everything he was talking about wasn't about me. Hence why I kept saying this isn't about me.
Right. Well,
Whole
I mean, didn't
thing.
he say he was throwing in some Tic Tacs in case he
Oh,
kissed
so
you?
you kiss me.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. But if you look at my co-star at the time, too, as well as Johnny Aniston, I could be offended or not. So
Mm,
I
right.
it's just I just wasn't offended at the time because it
Right.
wasn't. How would I know that he was saying that?
Right.
And after the fact, it's like it still didn't affect me. If a
Mm,
person says you have beautiful legs and you want to kiss me, as to versus what this is a totally different story of what's happening now because it's in a different context, right? But and people can argue that or not.
mhm.
But because it wasn't happening at me, I didn't know it was happening.
Right. I know what
So,
you're saying. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
when I know it's happening and it's happening at me and on me and everything else, that's a totally different story.
Right.
But so when this came out, the only thing I can think of is, "Oh my god, I don't know how to handle this."
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the words he said. I wasn't thinking about he offended me. I wasn't thinking about that. I thought, "Oh my god, now once it came out, we sat down, we had lunch, we watched the news come out, and it was my phone started ringing."
Yeah.
So that was more important to me. I felt attacked by the media
Mm,
because I knew all they wanted. I mean, the biggest thing was to get Trump off the ballot.
mhm,
That is not gonna be my job. I was like, "That is not my job. I am not," because nothing happened.
mm,
And I don't lie, and I'm not good at lying, nor was I gonna say anything that was gonna hurt me in any way.
right.
So nothing happened to me. Nothing happened, so there was nothing for me to say. And that was what I had to go with because out of fear of, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't know who's gonna protect me. Who's gonna protect me?
Mm,
Well, really nobody did.
yeah.
I got no apology from my place of employment. I really got no apology from NBC. And so, an executive at the time did because he had to. But I just feel like I had no protection. And so I had to, and my fiance and I had to protect our family. And that's how
Mhm,
we felt. And so if anything happened, that was totally just uncalled for the way I felt I was attacked by the media. So, and I can imagine you understand what that
mm,
feels like. And
yeah.
so, um, we decided to just look, as a woman, I am not going to let this affect my family.
Mhm,
I'm not gonna let people attack my family. So the only news I was gonna do was the one I had to do, which was NBC. And they said, "Oh, we're gonna talk about your nonprofit, and we really want to shine a light on you." They didn't talk about my nonprofit. They sugarcoated everything and they kept it really tight. You can see it on, it's not even 3 minutes.
mm,
And so they didn't do what they said. And then um, and I'm not on NBC anymore, so I can say that. And then I thought the one journalist at the time that I felt had a nice ease to him was Anderson Cooper. And I went on Anderson Cooper for my fans, for my family to say, I'm okay.
mhm,
I'm okay. He's going to have to deal with the things he has to deal with, meaning, Donald Trump, but
yeah.
but it didn't affect me personally. And so that's how I went about it. Nobody bothered me after that because there's nothing to give them.
Right.
And that was
And
that.
and here we are now where it's being brought up again in a trial. Have you been following the trial?
Yeah, I have. I've been very interested in, just because when they bring it up, you're like, oh, well, I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, my brother is great. My brother and I have a great, great relationship. And he is a history buff. So this is just, up his alley as far as it's a big deal, right? The Access
Right.
Hollywood thing was a big
It is,
deal.
it is, and will always be a part of history. It's kind of
Yeah.
where it started to snowball, and then Stormy Daniels came on the scene after this, and now Michael Cohen is in the biggest trial of the century, sort of speaking that this could have been a catastrophic thing, that could have cost Donald Trump the election.
And I wouldn't be surprised if something was real and true that happened to me or for me, however you want to look at it, that it would have made a big difference, but it
Mhm.
didn't. So sorry, everybody.
Right. Um, I think people will want to know. what your thoughts are now about Donald Trump. Has that the situation, how your life has changed because of it, the fact that you were thrust into the spotlight, people who may not have known you that don't watch daytime TV now all knew your name. Do you have a different feeling on Donald Trump now?
I don't. I didn't then. And I don't now. I think I'm very much, well, as far as, if we're gonna, I don't really like talking politics, but
Yeah.
as far as the way he speaks, could he do a better job of it? Absolutely. I think there are policies that were great that he did. I'm sure our pockets felt a little bit better 4 years ago than they do now. I know mine did.
Mhm.
And so I think there are things, without getting too much into that, that I felt were really great.
Yeah.
I am not going to judge the system. I think people can probably hear the way I think by the things that I'm saying. But I am very in the middle of what's going on in this country. And I mean, if this is the conversation we want to have, I just feel like there is weaponization on both sides. So now I'm looking at it from a different point of view, going, Donald Trump could be anybody right now. And that's what's scary.
Mm.
Right. So I think there is an attack personally. But when it comes to the actual Access Hollywood situation, I feel the same way I did then, the way I feel now, because that, to me, I didn't want that to change my life.
Yeah.
So, to make it personal, not about him per se, because I don't want to make it about him. I want to make it about how my life was or was not affected. And
Yeah.
if it did anything for me, again, I always like finding the positives in a situation, is it taught me how to say, wait, now that this went on and this situation happened, what can I do to better my life? And how can I better the people around me? And what kind of footprint can I leave on this earth? And I did when I started my nonprofit years ago, Arrowheart Adventure Camps, um, when we were testing out the program, we went to South Africa and worked on the program for 18 to 24-year-olds. And that was my statement then. How can I leave a better footprint?
Hmm.
That'll be my statement now. I don't, there's a lot that happens in the world, and there's a lot of unfortunate things that can happen. And I always say happen for people. I mean, look at the good you're doing right now. Look at the good that came out of this for you,
Hmm.
right? And we go, let's do better. Let's do better than the situation.
Yeah.
And let's teach people how to strive, how to communicate, how to create a life that's just great for them out
Hmm.
of the trauma, right? So we circle back around to that. So I
Right.
just want to leave that positive message to go, yeah, this situation happened, this happened. But you know what? I have got a better daughter for it. I'm a better mother because of it.
Hmm.
And I'm a better person in my relationship with my fiance and my ex-husband and my immediate family.
Yeah.
It's just so those are the things that I want to leave this conversation with, to make sure that this isn't about those other people,
Yeah. No, of course not.
you know?
Um, and you had said you did not get an apology at the time. To this day, have you ever heard from Billy Bush or Trump?
No, no, actually, my team reached out to Billy Bush to do a podcast and say, hey, kind of be cool just to go,
That
everybody
would be.
deserves a second chance. Like, I'm happy for Billy. I'm happy he did what he did to get to the position he's in again. Everyone
Mhm.
deserves to. And you see him working really hard on himself. And I wanted to build that bridge between us, and he didn't want to do it.
Wow. He declined.
Yeah. I was like, okay, the to each their
Wow.
own. I mean, I get it. It's all right.
Maybe that's just too close to home for him. You know what I
It
mean?
might
Maybe.
be. I really wanted to find something, more like talk about it, and then just like what can we do to benefit? Because, like I said, he worked on himself to better himself for his kids.
Yeah.
I thought that was
But he
brilliant.
never came out and talked about it really and took that much responsibility before, unless he like had to. And I love Billy. I know Billy.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it almost seems like he's in a, I'm making this up just purely by thought. I just feel like he would be nervous that if he was to do that and acknowledge things with you and have that conversation, he's probably in fear that he could lose his job now, or, he's already gone down a path and he's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore because he's not ready to not make a joke of it, but put it behind him and really like apologize, but like in a way that would be meaningful that could, I just think that he would be nervous that he could get in trouble again. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. And look, I'm not expecting an apology. It would almost be like I get it. Like,
Yeah,
it's, apologies, if they don't have any true meaning behind it, they're worthless.
right. I agree.
So that's kind of, I don't necessarily need that. An acknowledgement is nice. An
Right.
acknowledgement of, it is there. It's kind of, like my current situation, an acknowledgement of, you know, well, you have been loyal, you have been amazing,
Right.
and we do appreciate you.
But I think it's interesting that you are doing something so brave in what you're doing now because you wanted to stand up for others, for yourself. And, you knew that there could be some retaliation, but you felt it was important to speak. I feel like Billy should be doing that because it would be important to have that conversation. I feel like so many people would tune in to listen to that just to see what
Right.
came out of that conversation.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, when you're coming from a great place, or, if you
And
were to
so much
hear
time has elapsed. You know what I mean? It's like you
much
can look
time.
back in a more educational way on it.
Yeah, and I think it would serve him well to be able to just, "Ugh, it's
Yeah.
done." Like, that's a part I can actually heal for myself.
Right.
And that's how I saw it, and that's how I thought about it. But listen, people have to recover the way they need to recover, and I
Mhm.
understand. And I will always be, like I said, I will always be an advocate for those who are trying to do better in their lives. And that is the most important thing. I'm trying to do better in my life. Is there a way that I could have done something differently in the situation that we're in now, the lawsuit that I'm in now? I look back and I go, no, because I did it in such steps. I did it slowly. I
Mhm.
did it in a well thought out manner. Unfortunately, when people get too much power, there's sometimes things happen. Even that person, I would be like, there were a lot of great things about um Albert that were okay,
Mhm.
but then there were things that weren't.
Right. Right.
So, and
Understand.
I just think when people acknowledge, I've always told my daughter this, I've told prior boyfriends this, or it's just, if you walked up to me and were just honest about your feelings, about what you need, or I don't want this anymore, or whatever the situation is, if you were honest about it, I would have so much more respect for you than if you just don't do it.
I
And
agree.
you could work things out a lot easier. And I I think those are really important to remember, as as because we lack communication now because of social media and all the things
Mhm.
we can hide up behind the computer. But when you're having an honest conversation and a real conversation with someone, and not a defensive conversation,
Right.
then you can accomplish so much more in your
Right.
life.
I totally agree with that. And it's fallen by the wayside so much recently. And communication is absolutely the thing. And being transparent and not, putting on airs. It's like you hardly see that anymore, but when you do, it's so refreshing and you can get so much further.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Tell people where they could see more from you, hear more from you, and learn about your all the things you're working on.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. So a couple things. You can go to arianzucker.com, and I have my podcast on there as well. So it's just kind of easy to get to. And you
How
can
often is your podcast coming out?
once a week.
Okay.
Once a week right now. Yes. And so that's called Everything from A to Z. You can hear it on Spotify, and I'm in my third season, so there's quite a few of them to listen to, and Apple. And I have my coaching company is alohalifecoaching.com. We have our little brand that we've come out with called Taloha. And it's really just the brand itself, the lifestyle brand is really about enriching the world within you so you can elevate the world around you.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. That's Sean. Sean came up with that. Sean's the news director at Outside TV and host. And so he uses that as his opening and tag all the time. Aloha, everybody. So use it.
Aw.
It's a good feeling. That's our whole goal. And also, my my beautiful and wonderful friend and lawyer, Anahita Sedegafar, we are both working on creating basically speaking events that are helping people to women, of course, but people create a fair, safe, and balanced environment in their community, family, place, and workplace. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a media tour as well, um, just letting people know that we're available.
Mhm.
And if they're in a situation that they can, reach out to us, and right now you can reach out to me at Aloha Life. We have our email on there, info@alohalifecoaching.com. If you're ever in a situation like this, she's incredible. I'm incredible.
You are.
And yeah, so we're gonna do more because of this. I think this situation happened for me, to take the positives out of the incredible job I had for 26 years, and now moving towards this advocacy and being a person of service. I think incredible things are happening, and we want to help those who fear uh,
Yeah.
helping themselves. So here we are.
Right. I love that. I appreciate that. I just have to ask for your fans on days, do you think that they can expect to see you anywhere on TV in the future? Do you want to continue in some respects doing acting?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is, it's the world is a little tough right now. They're still building back from the what they have just what was just recently.
The
Um,
writer's strike, you
yeah,
mean?
writer
The
strike.
acting strike? Yeah.
That thing. God, it's even hurting my brain.
Mhm.
So the writers had to stop writing. I mean, I have a lot of close writer friends, a couple that live up here where production is a little slow, but I think next year will be a better year for everybody. So they're limited on that, but yes, absolutely. And hosting as well, possibly anchoring. We'll see where things go. So looking forward to doing anything new. So, but a lot of it, like you, Rachel, is just, getting the word out there, really working on the podcast and the advocacy and creating a beautiful story for the world to see.
Amazing. You are so interesting. I wish you nothing but the best. I can't wait to see how this all turns out for you. And I'm sure all your fans have loved getting to learn more about you today. So again, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. You're so wonderful and you have such a kind heart. So I'm
Oh,
happy to be here.
thank you.